Smokey the Bear was more than a cartoon character. He was a real live bear, and today we are exploring his hometown, and we'll even get to see his gravesite. Welcome to Capitan, New Mexico. In a region known for Billy the Kid, it might be surprising to hear that these little towns have more to offer than just sensationalized Wild West stories. However, Capitan, which began as a coal mining town in the 1890s, certainly tells a different story. Named for the Capitan Mountains that surround the area, Capitan was never a big place. And it still isn't today with less than 1,400 residents. However, it always seemed to have just enough to get by, with a handful of stores, schools, and a fire department, with that last one, the fire department, perhaps being the most important in order to tell the real story of Capitan. In May of 1950, a devastating wildfire broke out near Capitan called the Gap Fire, which burned over 17,000 acres of the Lincoln National Forest. The fire was started by human causes, which many believe to be a discarded cigarette. Dry conditions and strong winds of up to 70 miles per hour caused the fire to spread quickly. A 24-man crew desperately dug fire breaks, but when the wind shifted, the fire jumped their line and they were forced to take refuge by burying themselves in a landslide, all miraculously surviving. While working the fire, firemen discovered and rescued a badly burned black bear cub that had climbed a tree in efforts to avoid the fire. The bear was nicknamed Hotfoot Teddy. That name wouldn't stick long, though, as he would become the living embodiment of the U.S. Forest Service's fire prevention campaign. The character of Smokey the Bear actually predates this bear cub by about 6 years, with the first Smokey appearing on posters in 1944, with the famous slogan, "Remember, only you can prevent forest fires," beginning in 1947. When news spread of this tough little bear cub, the injuries that it sustained, and that the cause was a fire carelessly started by human activity, the Forest Service knew that they needed to make this bear the official Smokey the Bear. And the public loved it. The idea of this live cub being Smokey the Bear captivated people's imaginations far more than the Fire Service posters alone ever could. Smokey lived quite a life, appearing in schools, parades, and more, publicizing how to prevent wildfires, making him the centerpiece of fire prevention education. Smokey would live out his life at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., until his death in 1976. His remains were sent back to Capitan, and today he is buried in the Smokey Bear Historical Park. While the museum here is well put together, it is quite small and there isn't a ton to see in it. However, your admission ticket also gets you into the little garden area out back, which is where you can see Smokey's gravesite. Capitan is also a part of the Billy the Kid Trail, which runs right through the middle of town, not far from the little town of Lincoln, which was a big part of his story and perhaps the topic for another episode eventually someday. However, for Capitan, the coal mining days are long gone. The days of Billy the Kid and the Wild West are long gone. There really isn't a ton happening in this little village today. However, thanks to the heroic firefighters of this area, a fire-damaged bear cub story lives on, even long after his death. We'll see you next time somewhere else down the road.